Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Javell Ashanti. I make book related content. I also make lifestyle content, but today I have my April reading wrap up. It's a little bit late, but better late than never. Okay, I read 8 books in April. They're all really good, fun, exciting books, really intense. I'm really excited to talk about it, so without further ado, let's get into the video. I'm gonna start with one of my favorite books that I read this month, which is this bad boy, Love in Other Words by Christina Lauren. This book is a 5-star read for me. It is a second chance romance. It's about this girl. Her dad buys a second house when she's like a 14-year-old teenager. She goes there, she meets this guy, they become instant buds, they become best friends. They just have a really strong connection, and they both love reading and books, and they share that really fun relationship with sharing books with each other, which I really love. I love reading about book lovers in a book, so I really love that. But they have this really intense connection. She also just lost her mom in this book, or in the beginning of this book, and she's just trying to cope with it. She's having a really hard time, but her best friend Elliot really just helps her open up about it. Anyway, something really intense happened and they stopped being friends, and fast forward 15 years later they reconnected, and he was also her first love. But anyway, they broke up. They reconnected 15 years later, and now she has a fiance, and she's in a very secure relationship, but also she just feels there might be more out there when she reconnects with Elliot. And now they are kind of having a little second chance situation. They're trying to be friends, but it's just not really working out. I don't know, it's just such a good book. This book made me cry 4 times while reading it, and I love a book that makes me cry because I'm just an emotional gal. Okay, this is a 5-star read for me. And then I also read a fantasy book, which I'm not the biggest fantasy girly, and I think it's because I'm a Capricorn, so I'm extremely realistic. But I read Shatter Me by Tahari Mafi, I believe that's how you say it. And I think the reason why I actually liked this book was because it was so realistic. Even though it's fantasy, it's about a world that really is just very different from our world, and it all changes because of these new laws. And I think it was the redemption, I think this reestablishment changes the entire society. They take away fruits and animals and housing and all that stuff. And I feel the reason why I connected so much with this, or I liked this so much, was because it was realistic. Because the world that we live in right now could easily change with just a few laws. It's about this girl. She has powers, and anything that she touches kind of dies, but she has a magical touch. It's kind of locked down by the reestablishment, and they really want to use her powers to fight their enemies, but she just really doesn't want that. She doesn't want to use her powers for the wrong thing. And then she also meets this guy who she kind of remembers from her elementary school, and they have a really intense connection, and so they ran away from the reestablishment, and it just gets really intense. So it just follows their story of them running away. I really liked this. It was just such a fun, quick read. And I think this is YA as well. Then I also read a historical fiction, which I'm a history girly. I love anything history related. Even though this isn't necessarily based on a real story, it does kind of follow historic events, which I really liked. So this is The Underground Railroad by Colson Whitehead, and it's also a Amazon TV show on Prime Video, which I do really want to watch. But it's about Cora. She's a young slave. She meets this guy who's also a slave from Virginia, but he comes to her plantation, and he asks her to run away with him. And at first she denies it. She's no, I don't want to leave, because her grandmother wasn't very rebellious. Her grandmother just really stuck with the laws, but her mom was a runaway, so she kind of channel her mom's energy, and she decides to agree with this slave from Virginia to run away. And the story really just follows her journey using the Underground Railroad. So that's what this book was about. I'd rate this also 5 stars, just because, I don't know, it was just, I feel the role that women play in slavery is so important, and I love that this book really just captures it. Also the roles, or just the things that women in particular experienced during slavery is not like anyone else. It's not a experience that a male slave could experience, or they could relate to, and I just feel this story with Cora is just such a unique and very powerful story, and so I rate this a 5-star. It is kind of like word heavy, and sometimes I did feel kind of like lost, but I feel like if you push through, it is a really captivating story. Then I read 99% Mine by Sally Thorne, and this one I'm gonna actually read the synopsis from my iPad because I don't remember, but this book's by Sally Thorne. It follows Darcy Barrett, who is sort of a mess. She has like a really weird heart, she has like heart issues, like her heart's just always kind of like threatening to take her out. But she's a world traveler and bartender when her twin brother Jamie, who's like very wealthy, inherits their grandmother's cottage, and they need their childhood best friend Tom to help with the renovations. Darcy has known that Tom for years was the most perfect man, especially for her. Darcy has known for years that Tom was the most perfect man, especially for her, but his girlfriend turned fiance and friendship with her brother always kept her away. However, when situation changes and he surprises her on her porch to begin renovations, Darcy decides to make him hers. And this book is so fun. I love Darcy's character because she's like a complicated heroine, but like, and she can kind of be a little bit annoying. But the only thing I had like issues with in this book was there's just a lot of like miscommunication, things left unsaid, which I hate that in books because I'm just like, why are we not talking? Why? So I would rate that book like a 4-star. It was pretty good. I really liked it. Then I read Rival by Penelope Douglas, and this book is basically about two step siblings who really don't like each other, and they're only step siblings by their parents marrying, but they're not like actual related, if that makes sense. But they really don't like each other, and they have like a lot of like weird sexual tension, which I was kind of a little bit, I don't know, I just didn't really vibe with that because I'm like, even though you're not related by blood, you're still like related by marriage, and it's kind of like a little weird that you guys, you know, are attracted to each other. Then Fallon, who's a sister, she left, and then she came back, and she came back with a plan to ruin the stepbrother's life and also like the stepdad's life and get him to divorce her mom. It's like such a complicated mess. I would rate this book like a 2.5 stars just because the relationship dynamic was a little bit weird for me. I just didn't really like that, but also it was really spicy, it was really interesting, but I'd rate it like a 2-star, 2.5. I also finally read Watch Over Me by Mila Gray, and this book is about this family. The main character is a girl, and her dad has been arrested for like domestically abusing her mom, like beating her mom, and so he finally gets arrested, he puts away in jail, and then out of nowhere their house burns down, and it instantly like clicks to her like, this could be done by my father, like is he out of jail, like what's going on here? So when their house burns down, they go on the run, they're running away from their dad, and their brother, I think he's like in the Marines, and so their brother leaves his best friend to kind of take care of her family, look after his family, and so the best friend kind of has this really intense connection with the older sister, which I don't really remember her name. Zoe. They really like each other. Middle of all of this is all this chaos that her dad's causing, and he's like showing up, and just really weird, them being on the run and him trying to protect their family. It's just a really crazy intense story. I would rate this a 4 stars. It was pretty good, it was pretty entertaining. I've never really read anything like this, and I really like that it's realistic, but yeah, it was a good book. Then I read the first book in the Bayou series, which is The Chase by Elle Kennedy, and I love Elle Kennedy. I feel like every time I make a reading wrap up I talk about her, and you guys are probably like, she's not that good, but like her books are so fun to read. Like they're not heavy and like too realistic where it's like I'm stressed out. Like they're just fun, spicy college romance. But this is the first book in the Bayou series. I actually read the second book I think last month or the month before, but I finally got around to the first book, which I really liked. And this one is about Colleen Fitzgerald, and I can't remember what the girl's name. I'm so bad at remembering main characters' names. It's like, why? But this book is basically about Summer De Laurentiis, who's Dean De Laurentiis' younger sister, and Colleen Fitzgerald. She had to move in with them because she got kicked out of her last school for burning down her dorm, or like her sorority house. and she is now going to Briarview, and Dean gets her to live with his friends because that's the only like housing she could find. She gets there, she has like a really intense situation with Colin Fitzgerald, but like he thinks, you know, she's just a little too intense, so he doesn't really want to get with her, and so they just do a lot of back and forth. And I don't know, I just love this book. There is a little love triangle situation going on, but it's such a good read. I feel like I didn't really explain it very well, but there is the love triangle trope in it, so if you do like that, you get that in here. As usual, Elle Kennedy always does a really good job at just having like fun books. If you want a book that's not super intense, fun, spicy, Elle Kennedy is your girl. I genuinely love her writing style so much, and they're always like such quick fun reads. So that's it. I would rate that, I would say 4.5. It was pretty good. And then last but certainly not least, I read The Lies I Tell by Julie Clark. Never heard of her before, but I will say I'm pleasantly surprised by how good this book is. It reads like a movie script, or like if you were watching like a Netflix movie, it would feel like you're watching a movie instead of reading a book. I haven't finished it yet. I do have maybe like 50 pages, but I did want to include it in here. I'll probably include it in my May reading wrap up as well, because I can't give a good rating or a rating at all because I simply have not finished it, but I did want to talk about it in here. And this book is so good, but basically it's about a con artist who she goes around and pretends to be whoever you want her to be, and so she can get close to you, find out certain information, and next thing you know, you're out of your money, your bank account, all of that is probably like transferred to her, your mom's engagement ring. You're gonna lose it all when it comes towards Meg Williams. But I'm enjoying this book so much. I will do a full review in my next reading wrap up, but I did want to include it in here if you're looking for like a quick read in May that's like super fun, super like intense. Like it's such a page turner. So far it's looking like it's gonna be a 5-star read. All right, but that's it for my May reading wrap up. I know I'm like 3 days late, maybe 4 days by the time this is uploaded, but I hope you guys enjoyed. I hope you guys get some book recommendations, or if you've read these books before, please let me know if you like them. Please let me know what you think. I love you guys so much. If you haven't subscribed yet, definitely go ahead and subscribe to my channel for more, and I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye.
Ooh, I'm gonna put a study to the side. She keep coming at me every day and night. When I left in my life started feeling right.